So tell us about, so you were dating Mom, and tell us a little bit about that, and then into a little bit about the wedding.
Well, we met at that hotel in Key Bridge Marriott at the lunch counter, and then we got together for some dates after that, and then the following year, this was in 1964. The following year, 1965, we got engaged, and then in May 1 of 1965, we got married in Washington, D.C. No, I'm sorry, not in Washington. We got married in New York City, which was her home. We had two weddings on the same day. One wedding at 10 o'clock in the Catholic Church, where we had a Catholic ceremony, and then she gave me back the ring, and we went downtown and got remarried again at the Greek Orthodox Church at 4 o'clock. Wow. And then we had a fabulous, fabulous wedding reception at the New York Hilton Hotel on 6th Avenue, which was mostly friends from both sides, although her father had a lot of his friends from the restaurant there. Her father ran a restaurant. And then we went to the Caribbean for our honeymoon. First stop was the Bahamas, Nassau in the Bahamas, and then we went to Jamaica after that, and then we came back. Then we were back in I had an apartment in Arlington at that time, and we stayed there. And then because of the work that I was doing at that time, which was international, we left in June of that. I'm sorry, we got married in May. Yeah, in July we left, and we went to Europe, and we spent 4 months in Europe.
Wow, very nice.
First part of it in Geneva, Switzerland, where I was working, and then the second part of it we went to Greece, where we met two friends of ours and rented a boat, a huge boat with a captain, cook, first mate, and we toured the Greek islands.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So now, moving on to chapter 3, which is now, we're talking 1970s. What was life for you in the 70s like? And obviously at this point you started to have a couple of children in the mix, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, our first child, Dana, your sister, was born in 1966.
Yes.
I believe, yeah, 1966. We were married in 65. She was born in 66. At that time, I was working in the government. I had taken a position as the result of the election of 1968. The election, Nixon's election. I forget the year. And I had taken a job at the Department of Commerce. I worked in the Department of Commerce as an assistant to the secretary, and then eventually moved from that position over to the White House, where I worked for 3 years as an assistant to Peter Peterson, who was the president's advisor on international economic affairs. And during that period of time, Lauren, you were born in 1968 or 7?
67.
67. And I then began to realize that it was important for me to get out of the government, because there wasn't much money being spent at that time for salaries in the government. And so Mom and I had bought a house in the meantime that we lived in on Renita Lane in Bethesda, which is a nice house, but it was a mortgage had to be paid, and I had expenses because Mom wanted to make sure that her girls went to a nice school, so she enrolled them initially in primary day school in Bethesda, which was kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and then eventually to Holton Arms School, which was a very nice girls' school in Bethesda. And so with the mortgage and the expenses of private schools and buying furniture and all of the startup, that goes at the beginning, your house ownership, I needed to get a better job. So I at that time had, of course, graduated from law school, and I was able to go into a law firm as an associate in a law firm. That that happened a little bit later on in 1974 when I went into the law firm. Meantime, your sister Karen had been born, and then eventually your sister Kim was born.
Right.
And so there I was now with 4 girls in a law firm, just starting out as an associate. And by the luck of God, really, I was able to become a partner in the firm in 2 years, and that meant more money.
Right.
Yeah. So that was how I transitioned from the government into private practice.
Right. I remember even as a child coming to the offices when you were a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, pretending that we were
Yeah.
little mini lawyers with you for the day.
Well, that was the first time you had kind of gotten outside of your little bubble.
Right.
And Dana did the same thing. She was, one day I brought her down to the office and she became the receptionist
Right.
in the law firm. She loved having all those telephones and wires. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then at some point you did sell that house in Renita Lane and moved to Split Oak Circle. So
Say that again?
you did eventually move from Renita Lane to Split Oak Circle.
Yes. By that time we had, of course, four children. And I was doing a little bit better in law practice. And Mom and I thought it would be best to upgrade our home, which was very small for a family of 6. So we kept walking around and looking around, and we finally found a place that we liked very much. It was a wooded area, all trees, up on a sort of little hill. And I saw a sign that said development. It was going to be developed. So we went in and met the owner and the developer, and we put a down payment down on a house that was not yet built. We just bought the lot.
Right.
And then this was on Split Oak Circle, 8604 eventually. And then we went through the tremendous excitement of building our own home.
That's great.
And because Mom was in the interior business, interior decorating business, she had a great flair for furnishings. She was able to do a lot of things that I would never have thought of, you know, in decorating the house and to buy furniture. And the good thing was that the school was less than a mile away from, I mean, the house was less than a mile away from Holton Arms School.
Right.
So it
It's
was
key.
easy, and that was why we settled on that area, because it was near the school.
Right.
So that was, and we're still living there.
And to this day, I mean, that's a really desirable location.
Beautiful, yeah. And the house is appreciated significantly in value. We bought it at a very good price back then. And I would say that, to me, that's home. That's where I brought my children up. That's where they went to school. They were married out of that house. All my girls were married out of, you included, were
Proms.
married out of that house. And so that's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember even as a child going every Sunday and Saturday going to all those open houses, and really you were trying to find that perfect house
Right.
for you and Mom.
Right.
So
Well, we had to give the house over to the real estate agent so she could show it to people who wanted to buy Renita Lane. So as a result, we had to get out of there, but we had to fix the house up, we had to make all the beds, had to clean it, and leave. And with 4 young children, we ran out of things to do. We'd go to a movie, and go to a lunch counter and get a Coke. I mean, we did all these things just to get out of the house.
absolutely. So back to the law firm that you were talking about earlier. What was it like when you finally did retire from your law firm, and then at that point, you know, what were you thinking of as in terms of the next chapter of your life for a career perspective?
Well, I was with the law firm for 35 years, until I was 65. I stayed with the law firm throughout the whole years that my children were growing up. And then when I reached retirement age, one of my clients called me and said, "We'd love to have you come into our firm as an attorney." And that was when I went into the Kinder and Associates company, which was a management company. They managed trade associations. And I became an in-house attorney for that company. And I did that in my second career for 13 years. I was not only an attorney for Kinder and Associates, but I also got some stock in the company. And later on, when I sold the stock back to the company, I made a little bit of money on that. Yeah.
So you were really a little bit of an entrepreneur at that point too.
Well, I never started a business of my own until I was 79. In other words, all
Reinventing
those years
yourself.
I did work for somebody, either as a lawyer or as a government official. When I was in the government, I had a variety of jobs. But when I retired for good after kinder, I then got a call from a young man who I didn't know, who told me that he knew my daughter Karen. And he said he always knew who I was through her. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just reading the Wall Street Journal every day." So he said, "Well, why don't you come down and have lunch?" So I went down and had lunch with him, and he then said he had started a company in Bethesda called WellNet, and he said, you know, if I felt like helping out, they'd love to have me join. So I I became a senior advisor to WellNet Healthcare in Bethesda with Keith Lemmer, and I'm still doing that now. I've been doing that now for 3 or 4 years. I've taken on a variety of assignments, including starting a nonprofit think tank called Healthcare Performance Management Institute. And in addition to that, I'm working as an advisor to Henry Chow, who runs the Healthcare Interactive Company in Glendale, Maryland, which is right outside of Baltimore. And so between those 3 things, and now they've started using me internally as an attorney to deal with legal issues for the corporation. With all of that going on, I'm semi-retired, with the emphasis on retired, not on semi rather than retired. I mean, I'm very busy with what I'm doing, but I still love getting away and visiting my children and Lauren here in beautiful home in Carlsbad, California. So I have a full life. It's pretty rich right now, even though I'm 81 years old.
Well, actually, that's a good point. So kind of moving into the next chapter, which you've mentioned during the trip, like you're constantly reinventing yourself, which I love that. So kind of thinking back, you know, across all your different memories of your life, what was the happiest moment of your life?
The happiest memory of my entire life was my children. When my children were born, each one of them was a blessed event for me. It was a special occasion of starting a family. And I have always viewed my children as my treasures. They are my inspiration. They keep me young. And I must say that of all the things that I've done, that was number one. Number two, which is something that I had a unique opportunity to do, was to travel the world. I've been around the world 3 times. I've been to all countries, all over the place. I lived in Switzerland for 8 years, and as a result of that, I think it's given me a much broader view of life. It's given me the opportunity to see something outside of my bubble.
Right.
And that has given me a curiosity about the world. I have to read at least 3 papers a day now in order just to keep in touch with the places I've been and the things I've done. And I don't miss anything on the cable news channel between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the evening when I watch various programs, talk shows concerning political events. Basically I'm a political junkie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as a good father, as a good husband, as an honest, sincere, hardworking, dedicated person, just like my father. My father was that way. I have followed in his footsteps, only in a different fashion. And I always have appreciated the fact that my father came to this country when he was 9 years old. He came to this country with no education, and yet he was able to put his son through law school. I mean, that is an incredible achievement that he had for me and my brother and my sister who went to college.
Right.
And now I see that happening with my own children. You, Lauren, who have gotten your MBA degree from one of the most phenomenal business schools in the country, Darden. Dana, who graduated from MBA school up in Boston. And Karen and Kim, both of whom have graduated from college. And everybody is well established, well settled, beautiful families. I have 9 grandchildren. And I would say that the other highlight of my life was after 3 years, I was able to get everybody together in one place for 1 week in one building at the same time.
That was a miracle, I have to say.
In Delaware, for the beach, we had the summer 2012. 2012.
Yep, it was a lot of
So
fun.
that's kind of the overall view of my life, which hasn't been, what you might say, overly exciting, but nevertheless has been really rich.
Yep, absolutely. Well,
Very rich.
it's been wonderful. We look forward to the next chapter in your life, Dad. We love you.
Thank you.
We love you.
Good. So did you learn anything?
Absolutely.